I'm Jason Harris with Jason's Connection, and today we're interviewing Oakley Farris, a philanthropist from Northern Kentucky. What was it like growing up in Kentucky?
Very difficult. Very difficult.
hmm what was your relationship like with your family?
I was I was a mama's boy.
hmm
I grew up during the Depression,
hmm
and I was always a hustler. That could be taken many ways, but I would go out and make a nickel or dime, and I'd run home and give it to my mom.
hmm
And we didn't realize I didn't realize I was poor
hmm
until I was 12 years old, and some little jerk in the neighborhood told all of his friends about that little poor schnook. That Oakley Farris would go out and shovel manure for a dime. Can you imagine that? I still remember that.
hmm
I still had that dime too.
You do? Do you keep it with you in like your wallet or something?
Yeah.
So what was your I know you had a very close relationship with your mother. What are some of the things she taught you?
This may be good for all these people here.
hmm
My mother told us kids, children, every person has something good in them.
hmm
Every person. You find out what that is, and you compliment that person. Just give you an example. That little doll sitting over there has beautiful hair, but tell her she has beautiful hair. But people pick up on, if you're not sincere, people pick up on you're phony. So be sincere when you compliment with people. You'll make that person feel better, and you'll feel better.
hmm hmm How do you use? Is there ever things that she taught you too? I know, or is there something? I know you had a brother and your father was very close to you. Are you things you learned from them?
My father was very strict.
hmm
I guess that's why I was a mama's boy.
hmm
Because, boy, when I did something wrong, I got it. You understand that?
hmm
Bang!
hmm
That on my rear end.
Yeah, I've gotten that before.
Right, yeah.
How did you meet your wife Eva?
That's a fascinating story. It's so odd, very few people believe it.
hmm
Listen carefully, please.
Okay.
I was in Miami, Florida, on my second trip with my new job as a traveling salesman. And it was right in the middle of a hurricane, my first and only hurricane.
hmm
The lobby was packed with people. My wife and her sister were there, dressed in black. They had just lost their father and her sister's husband.
hmm
But I was zeroing in on my future wife. And I had made friends with the hotel manager on my previous two trips. Her name was Miss Kelly, a redhead lady. She saw what I was trying to do, and she said, "Come over here, kid." And she said, "You're wasting your time. You have to be introduced to those people." I said, "Introduce me." She did. And that's how I met my wife.
hmm
And we had about a 2-year long distance relationship on the phone. I did not speak Spanish. She spoke very little English, and I wasted a heck of a lot of money on the phone.
hmm Did you learn to speak Spanish, or
No, I still don't speak Spanish. I can say no. Yes, maybe.
Yeah. Now, you after that, you went on the road together a lot in business trips. What did she sort of bring to your sales pitch? Because you were a salesman.
If I called on the customer,
Yeah,
well, that was very simple because he was so truthful.
yeah.
I'm your little thread man from Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you a story about persistence, if I may.
Yeah.
This happened in a little town in Oklahoma. I called on this lady, and she had a drapery workroom, and she told me she would be moving to another address,
Mm-hmm.
and she said they were going to move the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I would send cards out that I would be so and so at a certain time, and on this card I said, "Mailman, follow that building."
Wow, that is really persistent. Now, what did you were a traveling salesman. What did you sell when you were a traveling salesman?
I sold pins, needles, thread, zippers.
Mm.
That's it.
So how were you were actually pretty successful at it? Is there somebody who sort of taught you how to do it, or is there you say there's a lot of important things you learned about people doing it?
Well, I was learning while I was working.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very interesting story. I mentioned it to you and your father at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
In the 40s, when I got this job traveling salesman with a gentleman named Harry Siegel,
Yeah.
Jewish fellow. At that time, the Jews were ostracized. You know, they couldn't. You people are too young to
Mm-hmm.
understand, but they were not permitted to country clubs, or they were just ostracized.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Siegel took a liking to me. I was his money man
Mm-hmm.
because I made him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. And so this incident happened at the La Normandy restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
The two gentlemen from New York City was there that night. The big tall guys, and there was Nathan. So Nathan was interrogating me.
Mm-hmm.
Kid, what are you hanging around these Hebrews for? Hebrews.
Mm-hmm.
That's a negative remark.
Mm-hmm.
But I was smart enough to keep my mouth shut. Mr. Siegel was looking out after his merchandise. That was Oakley. So
Mhm.
he came over. Nate, don't worry about Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Yiddish cup, and from here down is a Gorium. Now, if you Jewish brain, down here's Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point in time, I became a half Jew.
How has being with your wife changed you for in these past in the past when you were doing sales and also just relationship wise?
With my wife,
Yeah.
why would you bring up a delicate subject like that? It's okay. So, when we were first married,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the road 9 months out of the year. Believe it or
Mhm.
not, 9 months out of the year. I would be home for a couple of days, and out again.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, 9 months on the road. And the only positive thing about that deal was I was just married.
Yeah.
I had a perpetual honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Then, on one trip, I was gone 3 months at a time.
Wow.
And how that woman stayed with me, God only knows.
Mm-hmm.
But she did. So on one of my trips, I just came home, and we were living upstairs over at my mom and dad's place. And my wife ever said, "Oakley, you want to go for a drive?" She had bought a car, took driving lessons without my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And the first trip, we went to West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
This was before the interstates. If you
Wow.
can visualize those narrow,
Yeah.
and my wife had never been any place with that car.
Mm-hmm.
After that, she drove me 28 states.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that.
Wow. So what was it like driving around the States, getting to see, I mean, did you get a feel of like what Americana was and the different diversities in the region and stuff?
I didn't know what Americana meant. I was interested in getting to the other city
Mm-hmm.
so I could get an order, get out, and go. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I told you and your father I was arrested and put in jail.
Yeah.
And we were going out of Charlotte to another city, and I was pushing my wife faster, faster, faster. State trooper stopped us, gave us a ticket. We had to spend the night in Charlotte, go to
Mhm.
court the next morning,
Mm-hmm.
and my poor wife, I don't think she slept that night. So the judge said, addressing my wife, "Guilty or innocent?" My wife couldn't speak. He said, "Damn it, are you guilty or innocent?" That's it. $25.
Wow. About Harry Siegel, did he give you any advice that made you who you are today?
Mr. Siegel?
Yeah.
No, I just absorbed him.
Mm-hmm.
I took everything from his brain,
Mm-hmm.
put it up here. It was a long, drawn-out affair.
Mm-hmm.
But because of Harry Siegel,
Mm-hmm.
I received a education I could not get at Yale or Harvard. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, a well-rounded education.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me how to get inside the brain of another human being
Mm-hmm.
and extract what I wanted and leave those people with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find that in the textbook.
No, definitely not. And do you, because you didn't go to college, you graduated high school.
That's it.
Yeah.
I never went to college. I thought I was too damn dumb, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I thought I was so dumb because I met Harry Siegel
Mm-hmm.
and I got a wonderful education.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Harry Siegel, I would not have been up here talking to Jason.
Mm-hmm. And we're glad you're here today talking to us. And do you feel that, I mean, I know people are talking about college today. Do you feel college is something important to go to, or were you guys?
Some people don't belong in college or
Mhm.
university.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, a lot of parents send their kids to college just to get that.
Mm-hmm. To get the technical sort of.
Now to get to say, I've been to
Yeah.
college, I graduated.
Yeah.
But a lot of these, I'm going to give you an example right close to home, okay?
Mhm.
This is one of the, still looking at him, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the local, I won't mention the name, one of the local colleges, and they have a class in
Mhm.
business. 24 students,
Mm-hmm.
adults. Out of 24 students, that class started just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's 12 of them left. The other was dropped out. They have examinations.
Mm-hmm.
50% of the students didn't finish. Does that tell you something about why some kids shouldn't be in college?
Mm-hmm.
Those same people should be learning how to be an electrician or a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I getting through to you?
Yeah, I mean, and do you think some of the things, I know some people have been talking about even with college, because there's some things that are good academically to learn. Are you also a proponent of having some things technical to learn, like either, in business classes, not just being going over models, but how to make it sort of going over deals and stuff,
Right.
and sort of personal experiences or financing or something that sometimes colleges don't always go over.
But Jason, I
Yeah.
like the way you use the English language. You're good.
Thank you.
You're really good. Now, speaking of education, I'm going to give you another true story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to. I hate these people, big me and little you.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
No.
Big me, well, always me.
Mhm.
To hell with you.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, in the year 2000, I was fortunate enough to have my hands on $1 million. That's a
Mhm.
lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point in time, so many of these college kids that get their degree will go off to the big cities.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was this: if we can keep 2% of those people here in this northern Kentucky area, they put down roots here
Mm-hmm.
and bloom,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have a winner. With that said, with that $1 million, I had a friend of mine to get in touch with the governor of Kentucky. At that time, he was a Democrat. I'm a
Mhm.
Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really a conservative, more than
Mhm.
a Republican. Governor Patton.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting to hear from Frankfurt. So one day I get a call from Frankfurt,
Mm-hmm.
some lady on the phone. I found out later it was the governor's first cousin. She had Northern Kentucky as her
Mm-hmm.
domain, so to speak. And I said, honey, come to Covington, I'll take you to lunch. But you'll have to pick me up. I don't have a driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we went to Newport, a nice restaurant at the time called the Syndicate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very nice. We
Mhm.
spent almost 2 hours there, and I
Mhm.
finally got around to saying, I have a friend.
Mhm.
I only have one friend, that's my wife, but that's beside the point. So
Mhm.
I have a friend who wishes to remain anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
He has $1 million, but he wants the state to match that million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after a few weeks, we got the million. Now there's $2 million. And just listen carefully. $2 million. The first year, nothing happened. That $2 million was generating income or interest. Okay. Now, from the inception of that program in 2001 up until June the 30th of last year, that account had over $3 million. Just think about that. Now, at the same time, 600 students, Eva G. Farris scholars, went through that program.
Wow.
And that cost almost $600,000, and the fund still had over $3 million.
Wow.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Now, my wife and I have a footprint also in the College of Informatics. You should get your father to take you over there, tour that building. It's unbelievable. Informatics.
That's one of the only this is one of the only like 5 places in the United States that does it.
That's right. You got it, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, my thought was this. There's $3 million. Let's take $1 million and start another Eva G. Farris scholarships for the College of Informatics. Good. It took some time. Now the $1 million is in place. I see you keep looking at the guy in the camera.
Yes.
Is it time up?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. You done interrupted my flow of
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Jason, I'm going to kick you in the head. Forgive me, fellas. Okay, we got $1 million in place for the College of Informatics. Now, we made an agreement with Northern Kentucky University. They will match that $1 million, but we did not put a time frame on it. But they will match that $1 million. And the $1 million we took out of the original fund, we've already going after those 600 students. Give back some. Give back some. That's that story.
And that's pretty impressive because as well as being able to give people money, you're able to put money back into the funds that you're starting, which is pretty smart to keep doing. Is this sort of what got you started in doing philanthropy?
I don't like that word.
Okay, what word do you
I
like?
make investments and I expect a return on my money. In this case, we expect some well-educated young people.
Yes.
We don't always get what we want, though.
Yeah, you've made a lot of those in Northern Kentucky, a lot of these investments in the community. Can you name some of the ones that you've done and what they've sort of been able to do? Do you feel comfortable?
I feel comfortable in anything you want to do, Jason. How's that sound? The Holy Cross High School in Latonia. We partnered with Holy Cross, and we have a beautiful complex there called the Eva G. Farris Sports Complex. Incidentally, Eva G. Farris is my wife. That's why I'm doing all these things. And then the Latin School in Covington is next to the cathedral. There's a big sign, Eva G. Farris Science Building. We're involved there. And in NKU, there's an amphitheater named for my wife. And in the library, there's a reading room named for my wife. And at the law school, there's a young Lincoln statue as a gift from my wife. And then in Covington at the Carnegie, there's a new building at the back of the original building called the Eva G. Farris. And then in the front, we have a beautiful statue in bronze of Andrew Carnegie. Compliments of Eva G. Farris. And then, have you ever heard of the famous painter Duveneck? Is that he's a local? Well, we have a beautiful bronze statue of Mr. Duveneck.
Wow.
Compliments of
Eva G. Farris.
Yeah. Then let's see, what else? We have two Abraham Lincolns, one at the Covington Library and one at the College of Law School. And then we have a local cemetery. It's very, very old, called Linden Grove Cemetery. And when my brother was killed 10 days before the Korean War ended, at that time I spent all my time on the road. And my wife and my mother, I found this out later, wanted to put my brother in the Linden Grove Cemetery, but it was such a horrible condition, they didn't do it. But since then, that Linden Grove Cemetery has really blossomed. Now, we have a statue, bronze statue of my brother there in the cemetery. Compliments of
Evan G. Farris.
Yeah. So, but see, that statue at the cemetery, I look on that as a good business deal, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
More and more people will come look at that statue, and then now the cemetery looks so good. When one of their loved ones dies, well, let's put Joe or John. Good business.
Now, why do you name a lot? I mean, most people would have some things named after themselves. Why do you name everything after your wife? And I know she's involved with a lot of the investments that you make in your mother and stuff. Why do you decide to name it after other people, and not some of the stuff after yourself?
I don't need to advertise me. I know who I am. It's really simple. But this is I have not told too many people this story. When my wife came to Covington, Covington was really a country town. After sundown, everything was dead. And she came from Madrid, not Madrid, Havana.
Yeah.
And she's Catholic. 65 years ago, the Catholics and the Christians they didn't hated each other, seriously. So my wife is a broad-minded human being. And when we first were married, she would attend church with me at the Emmanuel Baptist Church, close to where we lived, and I would go to the cathedral with her. Excuse me. At that time, there was a bishop, jerk. He really was. He heard about this deal, forbid my wife. And at the same time, a lot of people were very rude to my wife. She couldn't speak English. She was from another country, another culture. I found out about this much later, how she was treated. Is this water?
Yes.
Excuse me. Your timeline there.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So anyway, the way my wife was treated in this area, I said, Eva, I'm going to make you famous before we leave this planet. And buddy, I'm still doing it. Anywhere you go in North Korea, Eva G. Farris.
Now, do you still face that, or are people more accepting of Catholics and Baptists being together? And
things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. The Jews were ostracized. They're part of the culture now. The blacks, they were much better off now than they were 65 years ago. But you still got a problem with some agitators.
And you were in World War II as well, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Were you involved in what part of the war were you involved in? The Eastern, in Germany, or were you in in Asia, or where?
No, I was in a European theater of operations. England, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany.
Were you in any? What was it like over there at that time? Since it said the 70th anniversary of a lot of things that happened over there.
I can tell you this. Why the Army and Navy want young people? They're so goddamn stupid. They're afraid they're afraid to be afraid. They're not afraid of anything. You better cut that part out.
So what are some of the things you're most proud of that you've done in your life? And obviously you've done a lot of things.
The best deal I ever made in my entire life
Mm-hmm.
when I conned my wife into saying yes.
Yeah, and there was actually a lot of. She was actually from a pretty well off background in
Are you
Cuba.
kidding me? Yeah. Her family had a driver,
Mm-hmm.
a cook. I think they had a maid. Big time.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me, a hillbilly.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, I did a heck of a good selling job on that woman.
Yeah, I know there was definitely. I've seen that there was some culture shock when she came. Just
Oh,
because,
without a doubt. Yeah, yeah.
Just
And
because-
that's just to follow up what I told you about how she was treated.
Yeah.
What's the next question, Jason?
So finishing, what advice do you have to give to young investors in the future, or to anybody trying to make an impact?
I don't think I'm the wrong guy to ask. I
Mhm.
can tell you one thing. Persistence is the most powerful word
Mm-hmm.
in the English language. Persistence, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you do starts right up here. Ideas, ideas.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. It was great to talk to you.
Well, it's been my pleasure. And I hope these guys did a good job getting your face up there.
I hope they did a good job. I'm sure they did an amazing job getting yours up there. You're the
Listen, you people, you want to see really something unusual? Check out YouTube, type in Oakley Farris. Or better yet, go to Facebook, check out Oakley Farris. Even better, go to Twitter. Even better, stay away from that television.
Thank you for watching today. I'm Jason Harris with Oakley Farris. And remember, for more original content, go to jasonsconnection.org. Thank you.